How's it going, everybody? Jay right here. Thank you for viewing my OnePlus 3T review. Now on for the specs. This phone in the US is carrier unlocked and will work on all US GSM carriers, such as AT&T, T-Mobile, Cricket, things like that. This phone will not work on CDMA carriers, such as Verizon, Sprint, and Boost Mobile. The phone is available directly from the company at OnePlus.net for $439 US, and that is for the base 64GB version. The dimensions are 152.7 by 74.7 by 7.4 millimeters and weighs 158 grams or 5.57 ounces. The phone is dual SIM, dual standby, so you can have two separate carriers working on the same phone at one time. And you can actively switch between which service does what. For instance, one SIM can handle the calls and then the other one can handle data usage. The phone has a 1080p AMOLED screen with pixel density of 401 pixels per inch with Corning Gorilla Glass 4 protecting the panel. It runs Android 6.0.1 straight out of the box, and you can upgrade it immediately to 7.0 immediately. They just pushed out that update about a week or so ago. It sports a Snapdragon 821 processor with an Adreno 530 graphics processing unit, and there's two variations of the phone. It comes in 64 or 128 gigabytes. But the 128 gigabyte version seems to be out of stock pretty much anytime you try to get it. For the colors, you have gunmetal and gold. It has 6 gigabytes of RAM. Fortunately, there is no SD card slot for expandable memory. The cameras on both the front and the back are 16 megapixels. The rear camera is a 2.0 aperture with electronic stabilization, optical stabilization, HDR, shoots up to 4K at 30 frames per second. The phone has a 3.5 millimeter headphone jack. Kind of silly that I have to mention that as a feature nowadays. It has Type-C charging port with OnePlus 3's trademark and industry-leading dash charging technology, and it will charge the phone from 0 to 60% in about half an hour. Finally, the phone has a non-removable 3400 milliamp hour battery, which is pretty good, and you shouldn't have any problems with it. Now on to the photo samples. You can judge the camera performance for yourself, and I will say my personal thoughts on the performance of the cameras once we get to the review section. So enjoy those. Alright, so the build quality on this phone is actually my favorite part of the phone. It's all aluminum build, it's got the gunmetal color. So for hardware, you have a 1080p AMOLED screen. You have a 14 megapixel camera both on the front and the back, but only one single flash on the back. Towards the bottom you have USB Type-C, you got your mono speaker, and your headphone jack. See, once you go along the right edge is where you have one of my favorite features, which is the alert slider. It's got 3 different positions on it, and then you can set them up however you want. I have it set as ring for the very bottom. The middle is total silence, and then top is vibrate. And then you also have the volume rocker on that side. And then on the other side, you have the SIM tray and the power button. And then, of course, on the front, down at the bottom there, you have one of the best fingerprint sensors on any phone on the market today. But build quality is very, very good. I'll give it probably an A+, or an A if I'm being conservative. But it is very, very well made, and it is a very nice phone. Now for performance and battery life. This does have a Snapdragon 821 in it, and it has 6 gigabytes of RAM. So there's literally just about nothing that you could do that's going to slow this thing down. The only problems I've ever had with it was doing VR, and that was more heat issue than anything else. But it's going to work great. The fingerprint sensor on it is fantastic. So there's not much you're going to be able to do that's going to knock it down. Also with the battery, it has a 3400 milliamp hour battery, which is very good, especially when you're rocking only a 1080p screen. But also on top of that, you have the dash charging. So I was charging at about 5%. In an hour and 20 minutes, I would be back to 100. Within an hour, I was probably at about 80%. So, and then the last little bit, it takes a little bit longer to do. But when you have a big battery powering such a
low pixel count screen, plus we have the dash charging, makes for a monster in this, even though it's rocking an A21 and 6 gigs RAM. So this is a power user's phone. You can run this thing all day just about, and you should be fine. And then even if you run out of juice, you got dash charging, so you really can't go wrong with it at all. As for the fingerprint sensor on the front, very, very reliable and extremely fast. The only problem I've had with it is because it's on the front, it's taking me a little bit to get used to, because I'm used to the fingerprint sensors being on the back. But as I got used to it, it's actually, I mean, it's insanely fast. It's instant. But it is very nice fingerprint sensor. You won't go wrong. It will misread every once in a while if your finger is just that little bit off. But for the most part, I would say 99.9% of the time, you're not going to have any problems with the fingerprint sensor at all. So now for the camera, it has a 14 megapixel shooter, f2.0 aperture, I believe. And it only has one single flash, which might be a big deal for some people, but it's not for me because I don't really use the flash in any of my pictures. I try to avoid that. But if the lighting isn't great, these pictures are going to come out very grainy. I don't know if it's the sensor or if it's the software, but if you don't have very good lighting, you're not going to get the best pictures. You're better off going for something like a V20 or a Samsung S7 or an iPhone or something like that. But as for if you don't need very, very good quality photos, it's going to be great for things like Instagram, Snapchat, whatever, things like that. But if you're trying to take very good photos, this is not going to be the camera that you want. But it will suffice for everyday use for most people. Alright, so now we'll talk about the price of this phone. This phone is going to cost you $440, which isn't too bad. That's about mid-range price. Mid-rangers are about $400. So for $440, you're getting a lot of stuff in this phone. You're getting a great fingerprint sensor. You're getting an AMOLED screen, but it's 1080p. And then going from my V20, which is Quad HD, to this 1080p screen, I can definitely tell the difference. I can see all the pixels, and it's certainly not as sharp as Quad HD screen, even though it is AMOLED, so you get the punchy colors, the deep blacks, the very bright whites, but it is still 1080p. You're getting a fairly good DAC in there for headphone jack. That's pretty good. You're getting a Snapdragon 821 and 6 gigabytes of RAM, so you can't really complain about that. All that in for $440, I would say that's a very good deal. So as for the price, this is a win, definitely.